Welcome to the Wellness Lab Digest, where we help you to absorb powerful, life-changing insights from top wellness experts with our daily bite-sized wellness podcast summaries. Each episode is packed with distilled, powerful takeaways to boost your health and well-being. To support this podcast, please scroll down on whatever app you're listening. Ratings and reviews are helpful. Even better, just send the show to a friend. Check out our sponsors at the bottom of the page, or simply click the Support the Show link below the episode description.
Ever wonder why you can gain 5 pounds overnight without eating an entire pizza? The science behind daily weight fluctuations is way more fascinating and complex than most people realize.
You know what's really interesting about this topic? Even elite athletes and fitness experts experience these mysterious weight shifts, sometimes seeing changes of several pounds within just 24 hours.
Let's break down the science, because what's happening in our bodies is pretty remarkable. Our weight can shift dramatically throughout the day based on multiple factors, and most of it has nothing to do with actual fat gain or loss.
That's exactly right. And water retention is probably the biggest player in this daily weight dance. Can you explain why sodium has such a powerful effect on our numbers?
Well, here's what's fascinating about sodium. It acts like a tiny magnet for water in our bodies. When we eat something particularly salty, like that late-night Chinese takeout, our bodies hold on to extra water to maintain the proper mineral balance in our blood. It's actually an ancient survival mechanism.
So if we're talking about survival mechanisms, we should probably discuss how our bodies store carbohydrates, because that's another major factor that surprises most people.
Oh man, the carb connection is mind-blowing. For every single gram of carbohydrates we store, our bodies need to hold onto 2 to 3 grams of water. That's why someone might see the scale jump up by several pounds after a pasta dinner, even though it's physically impossible to gain that much fat overnight.
That really explains why people on low-carb diets often see dramatic weight loss in the first week. They're mostly losing water weight, right?
Exactly. And speaking of water weight, let's talk about exercise, because this is where things get really interesting. When we work out, we're not just burning calories. We're depleting those glycogen stores and losing water through sweat, which can cause some pretty dramatic temporary weight drops.
You know what's fascinating about post-workout weight changes? Research shows that intense training sessions can cause weight to drop by as much as 3 to 4 pounds, but it typically returns to normal within 24 hours of proper hydration.
And here's something most people don't realize. The timing of your workouts can significantly impact what you see on the scale. Morning versus evening workouts show different patterns because our bodies process fluids differently throughout the day.
That brings up another crucial factor: hormones. The impact of hormonal fluctuations on weight, especially for women during their menstrual cycle, is pretty significant.
The hormonal aspect is fascinating because research shows that fluid retention typically peaks on the first day of menstrual flow, but the effects can start days before. And it's not just about water retention. Hormones influence appetite, energy levels, and how efficiently our bodies process nutrients.
Let's talk about stress hormones too, because cortisol plays such a huge role in weight fluctuations.
Well, here's what's wild about cortisol. When we're stressed, these elevated levels can lead to water retention, but they also affect our eating habits. Studies show that chronic stress actually changes our food preferences, making us crave foods higher in fat and sugar.
That really demonstrates how our emotional state has such a direct impact on our physical body. Everything's connected.
And speaking of connections, sleep patterns play a massive role too. Poor sleep can increase cortisol levels, which then leads to more water retention and changes in appetite regulation. Studies show that just one night of poor sleep can cause temporary weight fluctuations of up to 2 to 3 pounds.
So, what would you say are some practical ways for people to handle these normal weight fluctuations without becoming overly stressed about them?
Well, the key is to look at trends over time, rather than daily numbers. Think of it like watching the stock market. You want to focus on the overall pattern rather than day-to-day volatility. Research suggests weighing yourself at the same time each day, preferably first thing in the morning, after using the bathroom, but before eating or drinking.
That makes so much sense. And what about tracking other factors that might influence these fluctuations?
Journaling can be incredibly helpful, not just for food and exercise, but also for noting stress levels, sleep quality, and hormonal cycles. Studies show that people who track these factors tend to have a better understanding of their body's patterns and experience less anxiety about weight fluctuations.
Let's discuss when these fluctuations might indicate something more serious. When should someone be concerned?
Here's the general rule backed by medical research. While daily fluctuations of 2 to 5 pounds are normal, sudden, unexplained weight changes of more than 5% of your body weight, especially over a short period, should be discussed with a healthcare provider.
That brings up another important point about the impact of different environments on weight fluctuation, like air travel and altitude changes.
You know what's fascinating about that? Research shows that flying can cause temporary water retention of up to 3 pounds due to changes in air pressure and reduced movement. Even seasonal changes affect our weight. Studies indicate that hot weather can increase water retention by up to 2 pounds as our bodies work harder to regulate temperature.
So what would you say are the key takeaways for understanding and managing weight fluctuations?
Well, first and foremost, these fluctuations are completely normal and natural. They're not a reflection of your health or worth. Research shows that the average person's weight can fluctuate by 2 to 6 pounds daily. Focus on long-term trends rather than daily numbers, and pay attention to how your body feels and functions rather than fixating on the scale.
That's such valuable advice, and maintaining good hydration and a balanced approach to nutrition seems crucial too.
Thanks for joining us today for this deep dive into weight fluctuations. Remember, your body is an incredibly complex system, and those daily changes on the scale are just part of being human. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, be kind to yourself as you navigate these natural variations in your weight.
And as always, while we've covered a lot of general information today, remember that everyone's body is unique. So what's normal for one person might be different for another. Thank you for listening to the Wellness Lab Digest. If you have received value from the podcast, I have 3 asks of you. 1, share the show with your friends and send them a link to the show. 2, please leave a rating and review in whatever app you're listening. And last but not least, please let me know what topics you would like us to cover in the future. You can contact me by sending me a message using the Send Us a Text link below the episode description.